Good morning. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to our Morning Reset Live. Let's go ahead and get started this morning, coming to a comfortable seated position wherever you are, gently closing the eyes or softening the focus. Beginning to bring awareness to your inhale and your exhale. As you inhale, feel the chest, the heart expand. And as you exhale, begin to feel the softening in the lungs and in the ribs. Inhale, no effort. And exhale, feeling the softening. Inhale. And exhale, begin to feel the shoulders soften down, down, down. The exhale gives itself to the inhale. With the exhale, shoulders soften down, down, down. Begin to feel the tension in the forehead smooth out. Feel the jaw begin to soften. Feel the tongue begin to soften. And then begin to see in your mind's eye the two hip bones in the pelvis. So they're kind of shaped like a butterfly. You have a half curve on the right and a half curve on the left. And in your mind's eye, begin to see if you could feel into your hip bones. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just where are your bones telling you that they're sitting this morning? Perhaps one is sitting higher than the other, or one is more in front than the other. This is just information that your body is giving you this morning. With the exhale, you continue to soften down, down, down. And in your mind's eye, bring your awareness to the right side of your hip bone. In your mind's eye, see its shape. Perhaps you see all the ligaments and tendons attached. And on the next exhale, let the breath begin to soften what's here on the right side. Softening the bones, softening the muscles, softening the fascia. There's nothing for you to hold up here. Just begin to soften into the support of the earth beneath you. And then bring your awareness to the left side hip bone. Notice its shape. Begin to soften everything here on the left side. Soften down, down, down. Softening the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments, perhaps emotions that have been stored here over the course of the night, the day, the month, the year. Let everything begin to soften as you feel the support of the earth beneath you. The earth that can hold whatever you give it. As you release down, down, down. Whatever you're no longer needing. But also know as you move throughout the rest of your day, you can be softened and grounded and supported. Perhaps just begin to take a moment to notice where those two hip bones are sitting now. Has there been a change? And then when you're ready, opening up the eyes, taking in the room, the light, the space all around. Perhaps you notice the birds chirping outside or I have a beautiful tree out my window. Just noticing the beauty that's all around you today. I'd love to know how that landed for you. Put it in the comments. I'd love to read it. So this past weekend, I was actually up in the mountains and it was beautiful. I love to go up in the mountains, and there was a little bit of snow still left, but there were also beautiful hiking trails and lakes that were now open. It wasn't too cold. And it was beautiful to get up away from the city and take in the fresh air and nature. And I just loved it. And as I was coming back, I decided to take a detour to a place called Manzanar. And Manzanar was a Japanese internment camp here in Southern California that's out in the middle of the desert. So basically, as you're going to the mountains from where I live, you have to cross hundreds of miles through the desert. And I had passed Manzanar many times during my life, but had never really stopped there. Because again, it just looks like part of the desert landscape. There's not really too many buildings there. And so I stopped and I learned all about this Japanese internment camp during World War II. And there are 10,000 residents who lived here, who were confined to different buildings, blocks, the women's bathroom. There were like 10 toilets all next to each other without any dividers. There was a mess hall. There was a basketball court made of dirt, a baseball, a diamond made of dirt. And it was just so surreal that this was happening here in Southern California in my backyard during World War II. And like I said, it's dusty there. It's desert. There's not a lot of water. There's a lot of desert bushes, tumbleweeds. And I really was blown away about how anybody could live here. And one of the things that I discovered is that the internees who lived there decided to make something beautiful in a difficult circumstance. And so throughout the internment camp property, there are ponds and gardens that were made. There's a beautiful orchard there of apples and pears that the state, I think, is still taking care of today. And then there is a beautiful, beautiful park that was built, developed by one of the Japanese internees. And in the middle of this desert, where there's nothing but sand and bushes, is a beautiful park with roses, with beautiful grass, with bridges, with water, ponds. I mean, it's stunning in the middle of this desert. And then as I was admiring it, I was about to sit down, and wouldn't you know, a sandstorm started. And the wind just began blowing and blowing and blowing, and my eyes were just getting sand in them, grit in them, and I was like, I have to head back to the parking lot. But this got me started thinking that that can be what it's like in our life when we have anxiety or racing thoughts. It's like the wind that started out of nowhere in the middle of the desert. And in Ayurveda, the wind and the space, also called Vata dosha, is responsible for the feeling of anxiety, for racing thoughts, for tics, for twitches in the eye, right? And without any anchors, this wind just continues to whip up. And it whips up in the body, it whips up in the mind, it whips up in the nervous system. And this is why our daily anchors are so important, because we're giving our body a place to be rooted, a place of beauty in the chaos. This is why our daily self-care practices, also known as dinacharya in Ayurveda, are so important, because when the wind begins to whip up, when the anxiety begins to get whipped up or become overwhelming, or our thoughts are on loops, we need to have practices, a beautiful garden that's grounded, that we can come back to when everything just seems like it's too much. So what does this look like? Well, in the morning, self-care practices can be like a wonderful warm glass of lemon water before your coffee, which I'm drinking this morning. And my allergies have been bad, so I've been tired. So it can be a glass of lemon water before the coffee. It can be brushing your teeth with intention, washing your face. It can be how you put on your moisturizer. It can be tongue scraping, oil pulling, neti pot. Whatever it is, it's something that you can do every single day. That doesn't take a lot more effort from what you're already doing. And it's a way to give ourselves space of how we want to show up in the morning, how we want to show up throughout the rest of the day. Do we give ourselves the space to do what nourishes us, right? And if I'm tongue scraping, that takes an extra 15 seconds in the morning. If I'm doing a neti pot, it takes a few extra minutes. But this idea of self-care as a beautiful garden in the chaos that we can come back to when things begin to whip up all around us. This is actually the beauty of Ayurveda. Using our daily practices to nourish us. This is part of healing medicine. And when we show up for ourselves in our self-care practices, we're not optimizing them. We're not trying to do things perfectly. We're trying to find something that works for us. Like I said, tongue scraping takes an extra 15 seconds perhaps, or maybe the neti pot. And I invite you to think about what those things might be for you. I've talked about our morning practices here, but there's also midday practices and evening wind down practices. But usually it's better to start first thing, something small in the morning. And that's why I like doing these morning reset lives, starting with a gentle meditation or breathing technique, something to ground ourselves before the chaos of the day begins to take over. So I invite you to think about what that might be for you. What can be your beauty, your garden, your beautiful rose bushes in the way that you show up for yourselves in your self-care routine. I know for me, it's been the simple things. Tongue scraping, perhaps oil pulling, brushing my teeth, washing my face, lemon water, and then this morning, coffee. And so, let me know if you have any questions. One question I have gotten is, what is Ayurveda? So Ayurveda is a 5,000-year-old holistic healing practice from India. And it really looks at everything through the 5 elements, through water, fire, earth, air, space. And then those 5 elements combine differently to form the 3 doshas, which are Vata, Pitta, Kapha. You don't need to know that to know about Ayurveda. But Vata is the combination of air and space, Pitta is the combination of fire and water, and Kapha is the combination of water and earth. And basically, these 3 doshas are inside all of us, but they also show up in different ways, how they're affecting our body or our health. And so when we're looking at different conditions, like today we're looking at anxiety or racing thoughts, we would say that's more Vata dosha. There's a lot of movement, there's air, there's wind, there's nothing to contain it or bring it down, right? So that's how we begin to look at what's happening in our life experience. We are born with a certain combination of these doshas within us. And then each of our life experiences from the time we're born take us little by little away from that perfect dosha balance that we're born with. And that's when we begin to see imbalances in digestion, imbalances in the nervous system, imbalances in the skin, right? I have dry skin this spring, which is really showing up for me. So we just begin to look at that. And in Ayurveda, everything is said, all disease begins in the gut. That's why there's such an importance on what we eat. And in Ayurveda, bloating isn't natural, gas isn't natural, heartburn isn't natural. These aren't just things that we have to sort of deal with. They're symptoms and signals that the body is giving to us that we are out of balance. And so that's kind of a general overview of how to think about Ayurveda and begin to think about imbalances that might be showing up in the body for you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Come back to soften, groundedness down, and think about the practices, the self-care practices, the morning practices. Maybe it's just taking an extra few seconds without rushing through the day in the morning, giving yourself the space to show up for how you want to be for the rest of the day. I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'd love to hear. And may you be well and nourished. And don't forget to subscribe for morning reset practices. I'd love to see you here every Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.